it's Crystal here, and welcome back to Politics in Pajamas. Today I want to talk about 5 reasons why Bernie Sanders should not drop out of the race. If you're new here, I hope you'll consider subscribing and clicking like. It helps me out a lot. It's free for you, so why not? So I know that just making this video is going to annoy a lot of people, because if I even hint at the fact that we need to be thinking about Bernie Sanders, people come rushing on my social media posts to tell me how the race is over, Bernie needs to drop out and back Biden, and if Bernie stays in, he's only helping Trump, and how awful I am that I'm not backing Biden, and I'm delusional for even thinking anything about or even having the fleeting thought that perhaps Bernie should not drop out, despite the fact that we're in an unprecedented global crisis right now that has dramatically shifted the world in ways that we don't even understand yet. So today I want to talk about 5 reasons why I don't think Bernie Sanders should drop out of the race yet. So the first one is the most obvious to me. Joe Biden is still, as of this week, against Medicare for all. And we are in the middle of a global pandemic where people are being directly impacted by whether or not they have health insurance in our country. In the last 14 days, 10 million people lost their job, and their estimates are that 3.5 million people just lost their health insurance. And the idea that anyone could sit here right now and tell you they're against a program to make sure that everyone in our country has health insurance it's something I can't even comprehend. And the point is, it's not that Joe Biden has real, heartfelt reasons for being against Medicare for all. It makes it very clear when something like this happens that likely the only reason he's really against it is because people who donate to his campaign and people who donate to the Democratic Party are not people who want Medicare for all. They're people who support insurance companies and the profit industry for healthcare, and they don't want to see a Medicare for all bill go through. So I've seen on Twitter people say, this is the time for Biden to, he has all the cover in the world to come out and change his mind on this right now because of what's going on with the pandemic. It's not going to happen. That's what people are not understanding. He's not against it because he really didn't believe in it. He's against it because his donors don't want it. That's the only reason that can in any way make sense right now. So the second reason that Bernie Sanders should not drop out is that Joe Biden has a really sketchy history with women. He already, up until a couple weeks ago, I felt uncomfortable about some of the videos that I watched. But in the last couple weeks, one of his former Senate staffers, Tara Reid, has come forward with a very credible accusation of sexual assault. I will link an article down below detailing the accusation in more depth for anybody who's interested. But it seems really credible. And the point is not whether I 100% believe it. The point is that 100% of the time in these situations, it turns out to be true. And Joe Biden does not have the kind of track record that makes me think he would be a magical exception to this rule. If anything, his weird, creepy interactions with women make it more likely that he probably did this. And the idea that she's just making this up because she likes Bernie Sanders is ridiculous, because if it was so easy to find women to falsely accuse candidates of sexual assault, don't you think they would have done that with Barack Obama and Bernie Sanders? That's not a thing that happens in the way that a lot of people think it does, or that they want to think it does. So with this accusation coming forward, it's all the more reason that we still go with Bernie Sanders, and he's still in the race. He can still get enough delegates. We can still nominate him to be the nominee for the Democrats. So the third reason that Bernie Sanders should stay in the race is that the longer he stays in the race, the more leverage he has to get his policies into the Democratic platform. So if he pushes this all the way to the convention and he has delegates still, he's going to show that a lot of people support him, support his policies, and that they need to consider these things. Already, him being in the race is why the conversation around Medicare for all in this country changed, why conversations about public college being free have changed, and even Joe Biden on that issue is moving to the left. It's not quite as far left as Bernie Sanders, but he's moving to the left, and it's because he wants to appeal to the Bernie Sanders supporters who, as of right now, still have the option to not vote for Joe Biden, and even in the general election, have the option to vote third party or to not vote at all or to vote for Donald Trump. So the longer that Bernie Sanders stays in, the more likely it is that we're going to see some of the policies that are really important to this movement make it into the mainstream and even into the platform for the Democratic Party. The fourth reason that I don't think Bernie Sanders should drop out right now is that I don't think that Joe Biden would drop out right now if the situation was reversed. It's because for him and the corporate Democrats that he is basically representing, the stakes are too high. The stakes are way too high for them to drop out, because if Bernie is actually the nominee, then they're going to have to contend with people pushing for these policies that Bernie Sanders pushes for, like Medicare for all, like public college, like the Green New Deal. And they don't want that. That's going to hurt their companies. And so they know how important this is, and they would fight like it's important. And I think Bernie Sanders should do the same thing. And the fifth reason that I don't think Bernie Sanders should drop out right now is that, as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, we are in an unprecedented time. And Bernie Sanders is the candidate to meet that time, to meet the country where it's at right now, and move it forward. Joe Biden is not that man. And the idea that just because Bernie Sanders is not leading in the delegate count right now, that the noble thing to do is to drop out and back such a horrible candidate in Joe Biden. It was forgivable to think that before we were dealing with a global pandemic, but at this point, no, it's not. We are going to be changed by the situation in ways that we don't understand. And the idea that we should move forward by picking our former vice president just doesn't hold as much weight as it used to. So there you go. There's my 5 reasons why I don't think Bernie Sanders should drop out of the race yet. If you made it this far, thank you so much for getting all the way to the end of this video. And I know that a lot of people are going to disagree with me about this, but that's how I feel. And I will see you guys in my next video.